Hi, Laura here from the Unprofessional, and today we are starting a project to make my two kids a secret room.
Yeah.
What we're going to do today is we're going to cut out a hole for the door. And you can see here, this is my idea for where the door is going to fit. So they're going to go through the door like this.
Yeah.
And we're also going to have to push all of our building materials through there as well. There's another access point to the inside of the knee wall space. So I already knew what was behind this wall and was able to do a bit of prep work so that I had a functioning light, an outlet, and a sturdy subfloor to make the project a little easier. I have a separate video that shows how I did the inside of the hidden room, so check out my channel if you want to see that part of the build. I'm going to frame it in, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to build in an insert similar to a medicine cabinet with cabinet hinges on the insides. This hidden door is a custom design, so my dimensions are based entirely on look and functionality. I used a level to make sure the opening was square, then cut the wall open with a drywall saw.
What do you need me to bring?
I need some saws.
Okay. How much?
No, it's okay. I'll get it. The original opening before the trim and casing is 30 inches high by 22 inches wide. With the drywall removed, I took out the studs in the middle of the opening. Now, I had some comments during the sneak peek video where people were concerned about the removal of the studs. So I want to assure everyone that the studs I removed were only there to hold up the drywall, but regardless, I replaced them when I framed in the small opening. With the hidden door framed in, I was ready to clean it up with door casing. I used up a lot of my basement scraps during this project, including a few pieces of MDF casing. MDF is not my favorite material to work with, but honestly, it does work pretty well as door casing. I attached all the casing with 16-inch trim nails. I've put a lot of thought into how I'm going to do this door, probably too much thought. And if you've watched any other videos on my channel, you know this is kind of just how I operate. I sort of have a plan. Some of the conventional secret doors that I've seen really aren't going to work. I'm going to tell you why. First of all, there are these really cool hidden hinges. And a lot of those hidden bookcases, like from the movies where you kind of pull a little lever and you push, uses some version of this hinge. And the way it works is it goes here, another one mounts at the top. See, I thought I was going to use these, so I actually bought them. My challenge is that this space is really small. So if I have a hidden door and I use this pivot hinge, as the door or the shelf pivots, this much of it is going to be taken. And I don't have that much space here, so I'm not going to use these. If anybody wants them, message me and I'll send them to you. The other idea, and I actually think this is a really underutilized and probably the easiest thing to do, is to put just regular hinges on the back side so that the hidden door swings in. But my problem is I have the angled roof and nothing can swing in or it's going to hit the angle of the roof. So I can't use that. So what I've decided to do is use these really heavy duty cabinet hinges, and one will go here and the other side will go into the door. I'm going to make sort of a fake cabinet door and attach it just like I would attach to the inside of a cabinet. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. It really helps me be able to create more content. Give it a thumbs up, share it, do what you will. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. To trim around the door, I used 1x3 pine on the top and bottom where the framing 2x4s were exposed and 1x2s on the side. This piece right here is going to bear a lot of weight because this is where I'm going to attach the cabinet hinges. So I need to reinforce it because right now it's only tacked in here and here with a trim nail. So I know I have a stud back here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recess 2 screws so that this can hold a lot more weight. That recessed. So now I'm going to fill this in. With the trim attached, I remeasured the outside of the trim to make my faux cabinet door. I used 1x3 pine for the frame of the hidden door and drilled pocket screws to attach the four sides together. I've never made cabinet doors before, but after this process, I'm convinced that with a pocket hole jig, they would be pretty easy to make. Unfortunately, my camera storage was full and I missed the actual assembly of the doors, but you get the idea. It's really hard to mess up with pocket screws. With the door frame ready, I used clamps to hold it in place over the trim for the opening and marked where I wanted to add my hinges. Because I've never made cabinet doors before, I've also never used inlay hinges before. It was pretty easy, however, I made a really stupid mistake and lined up the jig to the inside of the door instead of the outside of the door where they need to be. This was a really easy correction though. I just unscrewed the pocket screws and flipped the board over and then re-screwed everything in. I'm just pointing this out because it's an easy mistake to make if you aren't thinking about it. I am really excited about this part. Let's hope it works. If it doesn't, I'm going to be devastated on live TV. Well, not live TV. I think it's going to work. The cabinet hinges have little teeth that keep them in place, so it was really easy. All I did was put one little screw in each hinge, and it held up the door great. It works. Look at that. Look at that. It works. Essentially what I've done so far is I have turned this opening into a faced frame cabinet. My next step, I am going to build in a very shallow but recessed shelf. And I'm back to pocket holes. The nice thing about putting the pocket holes on the outside is that they won't really show except when the door is open. And I'm not really worried about that. Now, like I said before, it's pretty hard to mess up pocket holes. It's not impossible, but it's hard. Let's see if I did it right. Oh, I did. You know, I gave it 1/8 of an inch around the top and bottom. And I think that's perfect. It's lined up just right. I pulled it back out and added a shelf in the middle. I spread glue on the shelf piece, which you can't see in this video, and then I used trim nails and one screw in the middle on each side for strength. I will caution though that trim nails can be a dicey choice. If you don't do it just right, it can go rogue and poke out the side. I also added 1x2 inch trim to the front of the shelf along the top and the bottom. This is both for aesthetics but also for structure. The overhang keeps the shelf perfectly positioned in the frame. Okay, so it's very snug, but it's not too snug. It's just, there's a little bit of clearance space on the bottom, which is exactly what I wanted. So I just have to figure out the best way. Oh, look at that, that's so nice. I have to figure out the best way to attach it. I found the best way to keep the shelf inside the frame was to screw it right into the faux cabinet frame with recessed wood screws. I pre-drilled and used 1.5 inch wood screws in each corner. Now look at that. That looks great. Then I attached a really thin piece of plywood to the back with glue and brad nails. I was a little worried I was going to miss and the nail would stick through, but I used small enough nails and got pretty lucky. Later I added trim to the back side of the door and added a magnet and a little handle, then painted it so it didn't look unfinished from the inside. One thing that bothers me about hidden doors is that stuff doesn't stay on the shelves when you open and close the door. I solved this problem by adding thin shelf rails that I made by drilling small holes for 1/8 inch steel rods. I made a quick jig so the placement was the same on both sides. And that solved my problem of everything falling off the shelf when we open and close the door. I removed the door to paint the frame, then reattached the door to paint the door. I added a few coats of paint and used toothpicks in the holes so the paint wouldn't settle in and make the steel rods difficult to reattach. And that's how I made a hidden door with cabinet hinges. My kids are obsessed with their secret room. If you want to see how I made the inside of the room, including the angled shelf, check out my channel and subscribe. Hey, this is Laura from The Unprofessional. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe. And if you like this content, you can head over to my website, theunprofessional.com, for more.